Yo, what's up, First Round Fantasy Crew? We are back for our second episode of Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I know we've been gone for a couple of weeks, obviously, with the holidays and everything, but we are back, and there's some big news going on around the world. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good, man.
It's madness.
Basketball.
It's madness, guys. That is true. I'm wearing my Kings hoodie over here. We got some First Round Fantasy merch down in the bottom with Justin. And I want to just kick it right off, guys. There's some exciting news going on in the NBA today with I believe it was a 3 or 4 team trade announced, where James Harden went to Brooklyn to team up with Kyrie and Durant. Oladipo got sent to the Rockets. Karis LeVert went to the Pacers. And the Cavs got in there to get Jared Allen and Taurean Prince, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, obviously, the big news here, guys, is Harden. Lakers fans in shambles. I can see Jacob is shaking his head. He's a little bit upset. What's your guys' take on this early season? Justin, what do you think?
I really think this was a long time coming and necessary and good for both teams because we all know as soon as that season ended, Harden was checked out and he wanted to be moved every single day. If you watch that team, it just didn't work even more so. Like, he's out, they're out. So we all know the Nets gave up a lot, but they're in win now mode. So if Kyrie gets his act together and starts playing some games and all three of them mesh and they just run the East, I mean, there's competition, but I think if they're all healthy, they're the powerhouse. So you have to make that move, and I think it's better than what they did for an old Garnett and Pierce back in the day. So hopefully this one works out better. But I think the Rockets improved too because they ended up swinging and got Oladipo, and I really do like that fit with Wall and Oladipo. They're, I think, 2 professionals, 2 hard workers, 2 players that want to win, and I think it's a win-win for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that KG trade because I spent a lot of time on basketball forums, guys, and that is something that people are talking about. James Harden has a lot of miles on him. You know, he's been in the league now for some time. He spent 9 years in Houston. He was in OKC for some time before that. He turned 30. He's turned 31 last year. He's going to be 32 at the end of this season. He's not young anymore. And listen, he's been an Iron Man his whole career. But eventually age catches up to you. And some of those picks that Brooklyn gave up to get him were 2024, 2026, 2027 swap, I believe. So you're talking about picks that are 6 years out when you're looking at KD being 36.
And those guys could be gone by then.
Oh,
like
definitely.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Harden, yeah.
And listen, if they're not gone by then, they're going to be a shell of what they are today.
True. That's
true. So the reality is, like Justin said, it's their win now. And if they don't win a championship within the next 2 to 3 years, this was a mistake. Will it be as bad as what they did for KG and Pierce, where they were in shambles for 4 or 5 years? We'll see. But what are you thinking, Jacob, about this trade overall?
Well, I don't know the specifics of that Garnett and Pierce trade, but that was terrible. Those guys were not like they were nowhere near as talented as Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden are right now. Like they were done. They were in the twilight of their careers, like starting it. So I think this is better because look, if they win one championship, it's all worth it. Mm-hmm. Teams go decades without even getting into the playoffs. Teams go decades without getting past the first round in the playoffs. So to just win one championship would be worth it. And this puts them in that discussion of, you know, top 4 or 5 teams that could possibly win it this year. And we'll see. But I don't think that, look, they're going to be good, but are these necessarily the best fit of players to play together? I don't think so, but they're still going to be good. You're not going to be able to stop them. Like, even if one of them's on the bench, they're going to be coming at you pretty damn good. So they're going to be good still.
Yeah, it kind of has a little bit more of a selfish vibe to what we saw with KD in Golden State, right? So when KD was in Golden State, you had Steph Curry, you had Klay Thompson, both guys known to be very team-oriented basketball players. Steph Curry likes to shoot, but he likes to pass. Kyrie can be said similar to that, but he's also a score-first guy, even more so than Curry.
I think Kyrie's going to have to start passing more.
Yeah. Well, Harden, too. I mean, dude, if you watch Harden the last 5 years, the Houston Rockets offense involves him standing in the top of the key.
That's true.
And dribbling until there's 3 seconds left, taking a step back three.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, and if we're talking fantasy too, I think this hurts Durant and Harden, to be honest, fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we won't know until we see all of them on the court together. Early results of Kyrie and KD together were good. They looked pretty good together the first few games before Kyrie went on hiatus. But it's going to be interesting, like you said, to see 3 such ball-dominant guys where a guy like Clay stands in the corner, waits for his turn. None of these guys are that kind of a player. So, Gabe, what do you think? I know you're kind of a KD fan, right? You rooted for the Warriors a little bit for a few years. I know you're a Kings fan, but what do you think?
Yeah, man, I'm a fan of basketball in general, and I don't know, man. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, I don't know if you guys have heard, but there are a lot of rumors. I mean, Kyrie's missed the last 4 games for the Brooklyn Nets. They're 6-6 right now, which is like middle of the road. They're saying that he didn't like that. He wanted more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Of a contribution in picking the head coach. That he's unsatisfied with Steve Nash. I mean, I don't know where this guy's ego's at, but for him to just be like, I want my coach who I want it to be. Supposedly his relationship with Kevin Durant is distant. That's from Adrian, whatever the guy's name is on ESPN. Yeah, thank you, Joe. It just seems like a very fragile place to be right now. And KD's the guy of it all. People are going to talk all day. How can you say this man's, Hall of Fame caliber when he's always ever played with superstars? I don't know. KD's going to do KD things. I don't care. He's an all-around good basketball player. And you look at the other teams involved. I mean, look what the Nets gave up. 4 first-round picks. Sure. Karis LeVert is a great young basketball player, dude. He was great last season. He was getting warmed up this season to continue that success. And Jarrett Allen is a fantastic center, dude, and they ship him off. So they gave up so much, and I get it. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, look what they did in Los Angeles last year with pretty much no supporting cast. Now you put Kyrie, KD, and Kyrie or Harden together. So it's I don't know. Their cast just got thinner. They're all ball-dominant ball players. I don't know, man. It's definitely a wait-and-see kind of thing. I'm glad Victor Oladipo got out of Indiana. He was the lesser-known Harden in this situation because he wanted out of Indiana, and they said, whatever, dude. Just go. Nobody wanted him.
Yeah, well, the Nets definitely thinned out, and depth is going to be an issue, especially this year, right, guys? Because what we're seeing, and it's happening left and right, is postpones and guys entering 7-day quarantines. And it's so different than NFL, right? Because guy goes on the quarantine list on Monday and he's playing again on Sunday, and there's no big deal, right? Where in this situation, KD goes on the quarantine list. He misses 4 games. So when you're already talking about a thinned-out roster and these guys that are so close, and you get Kyrie and KD to go on quarantine together, what are you looking at? You're looking at Harden and a bunch of scrubs. So it's going to be interesting. They're hoping talent trumps fit. And they may be right, dude. Miami, if you guys remember 10 years ago, LeBron, Wade, Bosh wasn't the best fit, wasn't a natural fit. Bosh or LeBron, Wade, can they coexist? There's only one ball. Guys, they won 2 championships in 4 years. And I can guarantee you if Brooklyn does that, they're going to be damn happy. And Gabe, I'm glad you brought it up. We'll segue into Victor Oladipo. This man is a baller, and he missed last season with an injury, but I'm also happy that he got out of Indiana. I heard that he wanted to get out in the summer. Then I heard he wanted to stay. Then it sounded like Indiana wouldn't pay him the max money that he wants. And now it looks like Indiana took Karis LeVert, who is also a nice young player himself. He's 26. He's shown some flashes. But the important thing I think there is Karis LeVert's locked in, I think, for 3 or 4 more years. Where Victor Oladipo is a free agent at the end of this season. And I think that was a big part of the motivation for Indiana, which is not a big market team, can't afford to pay guys like the Lakers or the Clippers. They need to watch their roster cap. And so I think getting Karis LeVert for them kind of shores up that starting five. They don't have to worry about paying anybody for the next couple of years. And on the flip side, like Justin said earlier, having John Wall, having Christian Wood, having Oladipo, having PJ Tucker in Houston. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the game last night. I'm sure Jacob did. James Harden gave up. The guy wasn't even trying.
That guy was awful, man.
He wasn't even trying. He came, and then my buddy hits me up today. He says, "Did you guys hear what James Harden said last night?" I'm like, "I didn't." He went into the post-game conference and said, "We suck. This team has no talent. We are a losing team." And it was, you knew. The headline came out this morning. They told Harden to stay away from the team. You knew the trade was coming. So I'm happy for Houston, man. I'm happy for them because I think this team is going to be fun to watch because I hyped them up in the preseason as John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins finally getting to play together. I hyped them up as Christian Wood being the most improved player. I drafted him in the 4th round of our draft. He's paid dividends there, and I think Depot is going to be a natural fit. Do you guys have anything to add on Oladipo or LeVert or any of these other pieces that got interchanged?
I like LeVert because I like the Pacers. After seeing them play the Kings and then the Warriors last night, they don't get enough credit. They're like a really defensive-minded team, and they're really scrappy with it. I think Karis LeVert fits that, and he gives them a little bit more of a scoring versatility there. I really like Jarrett Allen. Like, I was like genuinely sad, dude. The dude with the fro in Brooklyn, he just fit there. Now you take his fro to what? Cleveland? It's like, dude, that's gross.
Dude,
it's gross.
For the life of me, and just from a basketball standpoint, guys, I cannot understand what the hell Cleveland, why they were even involved in this trade. It doesn't make sense because Taurean Prince is not known as a guy who's on a very favorable contract. He's getting paid $15, $16 million a year. He's probably best served as your first guy off the bench, in the 3 or 4 spot. But he's not a guy who's bursting with potential or who's helping you really win games. So why the hell do they go out and trade a 2022 first-round pick? They're not. They're still young. They go and trade a first-round pick to bring in Jarrett Allen when their best player has been Andre Drummond. Those two guys don't fit together. So what's the plan? I get it. Drummond's 27. He's been in the league for 10 years. He's probably headed out at the end of the season. He's a free agent. So fine, I kind of get it.
I like Jarrett Allen as a young player, but it's just because he's young, right? He's like 22.
20,
he's like 22. Like that. Yeah, he's a nice piece because I think that was a good acquisition for them, but because they need to establish some young guys. But I still, it's interesting. I'm happy for Houston like you, Joe, because that's what I don't like is the attitude of these guys. And all 3 of the guys in Brooklyn now are all
attitudes.
They all have bad attitudes, and they won't hesitate to throw you under the bus if they're mad at you. And I don't like that. I like a guy like Damian Lillard who's all business.
I love him.
Let's just play our game, and he's so loyal to Portland. Like I'm not about all this.
He leaves Portland next season. Then.
No, dude.
But I agree. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I wouldn't even want those guys on my team because you're trying to build like a good culture and all this stuff. So it's a great move for Houston, to be honest.
Yeah. Listen, and I get LeBron has jumped ship multiple times, and right now I'm not very happy with him just because I obviously don't like the Lakers. But I've always rooted for LeBron, and one of the things about LeBron was he jumped ship all the time, and he's not a team player and blah blah blah. Listen, when LeBron wanted out of Cleveland, he didn't give up. He played his heart out until the end of his contract, and he left.
Exactly, yeah.
James Harden was not that way. Kyrie Irving was not that way. I can't respect guys who don't play out.
No, exactly. Contract. Like LeBron was still going to try to win that team a championship,
absolutely,
no matter what. Yeah,
absolutely. It had more to do with being a team player, fulfilling your contract, and being a man. And where the actions that I've seen Kyrie out partying with his sister, leave of absence, and Steve Nash doesn't even know where he's at. I can't respect nothing like that, man. it's hard for me to say that I do never root for the Lakers, but I'm having a hard time saying I would rather the Brooklyn Nets win than the Lakers. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is I do not like that Brooklyn team at all.
The NBA would love that championship matchup.
It's written in stone, man. And Giannis will get his chance in 2 or 3 years, and the Clippers maybe. But I think we're gonna see LeBron versus KD once again, and it's there, you know. So, guys.
Yo, not to mention though, this isn't the first time we've seen Kyrie act like this too, right? Like when he was in Cleveland, he wanted out of Cleveland because he didn't want to play with
the way he left
when he was in Boston,
too.
He didn't want to be in Boston because he didn't like the head coach. It's just like, what the hell, dude? Like you make a lot of money to just kind of, and he's a flat earther. It's like, come on, bro.
Let me tell you where I differ from all your conversations is that I think two things mean a lot, and we'll see it very soon. Winning cures all your problems, no matter how unhappy, no matter how many problems, no matter what their issues are.
You always gotta be so wise, dude.
You start winning, you start being happy. Okay, that's just how these guys are. And then number two, I'm a big fan of James Harden's basketball skill, although his game might not be always enjoyable to watch. So I believe that if they truly think that they're gonna win, this ego, this ball hog mentality. He's a great player. He's going to adapt. He's going to score, but he's also, don't forget, he's an amazing passer. He really is, and it's just not highlighted ever. So I think if he plays with KD, they both want to win. KD can show him kind of how it takes to win. I'm more on the side that it might be a fun team to watch. DeAndre is going to take over Allen's role, I think, but maybe Drummond gets swapped back over there in a later trade because I don't think Cleveland's going to live with Drummond and Allen. They're going to move Drummond maybe, but I'm more excited than not excited to see the Nets play, basically.
Yeah, and the Cleveland Cavs, you know, they have their own role in this, and it is what it is. You know, they pick up Allen, and I think Justin's right. Listen,
I'm excited to watch them play. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm just like, as a just for like the way they are, I just don't like their attitudes, but whatever.
I agree.
True.
You know, my favorite thing that's floating around, Cleveland got off to a hype start where I think they were 4-1, and they have Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, and people have been calling that backcourt the Sexland. And
hey, dude, I've been high on Colin Sexton ever since he came into the league, man. I like that guy. I remember when LeBron hadn't announced he was going to leave yet, and then during the draft, Colin Sexton said, "Hey, let's run it back. Let's win another championship." And then LeBron leaves.
Yeah, it sucks. That sucks. And those two look good in the backcourt. I know that they're on like a 4-game losing streak, but you know,
Garland's been injured too, so that sucks.
Yeah, and they're ahead of schedule, so I don't think anyone can be upset with what we've seen. I know Sexton's missed a couple games, Garland's missed a couple games, so they are ahead of schedule. Those two, and
they got the workings of like a mediocre, but like still good McCollum and Lillard backcourt kind of ideology there.
And they took that kid Okoro, and he looks decent. And now they're bringing in Jared Allen, so they've got a decent core to work on. So, but guys, moving on. We've spent 20 minutes talking about the Harden trade, about the Cavs. I think we've touched all the bases there. Crazy news. We'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. The next thing we want to talk about, guys, and I want to start this one off myself, is which rookies have impressed you so far this season? And Justin, I feel bad because he's a Kings fan too. He's probably going to agree with me on this one, but Tyrese Halliburton. And I mentioned him in the preseason podcast that we talked about. I told you guys this guy was going to be money. I drafted him. I ended up having to cut him because he had some injury and he missed some time, and I was trying to beat Jacob. But I went out and traded for him last week to you, Gabe, in a trade that I traded Chris Middleton for Collins and Halliburton. And I liked the trade. I think it was good for both of us, Gabe. So
it's good.
But Halliburton has been money, guys. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but not only in real life, but in fantasy, he has been a very, very consistent guy to slot as your point guard. And I remember when we played fantasy quite a few times, years and years, centers were always the very consistent guys. And guards were the ones that would blow up for 30 some games, but sometimes they might get you negative points or 6 because their shooting is just not that good. And obviously, guys, of course, we're talking about total points here, not categories. But Halliburton, guys, 18, 26, 30, 14, 36, 33, 17, 19.
He's doing solid.
As a rookie, his first 2 weeks, he's playing off the bench, guys. He's not starting. He's playing off the bench, and he's had 3 30-point games. He's helped the Kings win at least 3 games 2 or 3 games that I don't think they even come close to winning without him. And they're quality wins that we've had.
I haven't watched any Kings games actually, but I am curious. How are Fox and him playing off each other? Do you think that's a long-term thing that can work?
Absolutely. And Justin can attest to this, and Gabe has watched some Kings games. Listen, man, they are a natural fit. That was one of the things that people said is everybody made fun of the Kings at the draft. Why the hell do you draft a point guard? De'Aaron Fox is only a good player.
That's the one thing I said too. I was like, that doesn't mean they can't play together just because they play the same position or whatever.
Well, they don't play the same position.
They don't really. The thing is, basketball is more positionless than it's ever been.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter that they're both small guards.
Well, here's the thing, man. You say small guards.
Well, I know Halliburton's not that small.
Halliburton is skinny. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we hope that he'll fill out a little bit, but listen, he's 6'5". I've heard that he's got a 7-foot wingspan. The guy who's not coming into the draft was that he's not the greatest ball handler. He's probably not going to be your point guard. He can't be your playmaker. But playing off De'Aaron Fox,
and
having a chance to shine in that role for maybe 15 to 20 minutes a game, he's been excellent. And his 3-point shooting, his shot is ugly, but it's going in.
He's shooting 50% from 3-point land, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So Gabe mentioned Lillard and McCollum earlier. I was telling him because my brother Jonah is a huge Kings fan. He watches like every game, and I was telling him like it's not going to be exactly the same, but I'm saying as far as like a backcourt where they're both really good to great players, it can work.
Listen, I'll tell you what the difference between Lillard and the Portland backcourt and what the Kings backcourt is. The Portland backcourt's biggest struggle is that neither of those guys can defend. They can fill it up. We've seen games where those come by 80 points. The Kings guards, especially Halliburton, you're watching him as a rookie. He's getting into passing lanes. He's D'ing up guys. De'Aaron Fox has always been a pretty solid defender. Those two can defend. I don't think that they're ever going to average 60 points between the two of them or 50 points even. They're probably going to fall in line around 40. Both guys around 20 points per game. But their defense is better. So we'll see what the future holds for Sack. I know we're excited.
So Halliburton, is this correct? He's averaging 19 points a game. 19.
No, that seems high.
No, he's averaging. I think
12 and a half.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong.
He's averaging 12 points a game, 5 assists, and 2 rebounds.
Well, listen though, De'Aaron Fox himself, I love the guy, but he's not the best playmaker. I don't want him doing it for 35 minutes a game either. So I love having a guy like Halliburton that can help him. And Halliburton's per 36 minutes are really good. He's only playing 29 minutes a game right now. I think we'll start to see that trend up towards 33, 34 as the season goes on, and he'll be big money. Let's go around the horn. Gabe, rookies. I know you mentioned one before the podcast. Which one are you excited about?
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on Halliburton again, man. Like, I think that was everyone's pick here. I mean, the dude's crazy, especially he was like a top 12 pick. He was 12?
Yeah.
So I couldn't even tell you.
That was not my pick.
8 of the guys in front of him, but the dude's been a beast, dude. And I don't think they necessarily drafted him to be the 3-and-D guy that he is. I mean, we knew he could play defense. He's got that 7-foot wingspan, but he's like literally the definition of a 3-and-D player right now. And that's what the Kings need, man. They need someone who's going to cut passing lanes, fucking terrorize the backcourt of the opposing teams. And he's been doing that. And him and Fox together are fine. And I know it's a small sample size, but in the 2 games that he was out, the Kings looked horrible. Even though they only lost by 3 to the Golden State Warriors, they lost by like 20 to Houston, or they lost like 20 to Golden State and like 2 to 3 to Houston. But they didn't look good. When Halliburton's on the floor, the Kings play good. He's a good decision maker. He's a good general on the floor. I love it. I love the future of the Kings. But that's not my guy. My guy is James Wiseman, the number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft this year for the Golden State Warriors. The dude's a beast, man. Currently,
your favorite team.
It's not my favorite team. I like the Kings, man. I'm an appreciator of all things basketball. I happen to live in a state where I can drive within an hour and get to both stadiums. That's just the way it is. So I like them both. But no, James Wiseman, almost 11 points a game, almost 2 blocks a game, and about 7 rebounds a game. He's a great fit, dude, especially for a team like Golden State, who was very lacking in that department with departures of JaVale McGee and Pascal was good last year, but he doesn't do the things that James Wiseman can do. James Wiseman is versatile, dude. This dude is lanky, but he doesn't move like a 7'2" big man. He moves like a Kevin Durant big man, dude. He is filthy. Just give it time. I think out of this draft class, in 4 years, Wiseman will be the guy to own. He'll be the guy that's remembered of this draft class, probably far and away the most. I love him, and he's a reason for the Warriors' hot start. Not to mention Draymond Green came back and they won like 3 straight. But Wiseman's good, bro. He's going to be a disruptor, and just like we talk about Halliburton, he's got to put some weight on. Just give him time. Give him time. Let him sizzle, and watch out. Golden State's not away yet, dude. They got things planned.
And Gabe, one of the most exciting things I think about Wiseman is that he's only playing 20 minutes a game, and he's managing to get a block and a half. He's managing to get 6.5 rebounds. He can shoot the 3 a little bit. He can score on you. I saw one play where he took it coast to coast, dribbled like behind his back, shook some dude, and went up for a dunk. And I was like, okay, he's the real deal. He is. And I agree with you. He's going to have a serious future in this NBA. So, Jacob, who you got?
So, I mean, it's arguable who the best rookie of the year has been so far. A lot of people have said Halliburton, to be honest. And I knew coming into the podcast with, 2.5 Kings fans that that Halliburton was going to be named. So I'm very impressed with LaMelo Ball, to be honest. He started off, his debut was terrible. Like he had 0 points. And now he's averaging 12 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, and the team is 6-5. So he's not putting up decent stats, and then the team's terribly hurting from it. So I know he has a lot of negativity surrounded with like his dad and his family and all that. But like when it comes down to it, he's a really talented basketball player. And I think a lot of people were like hyping him up, and then his debut was terrible. They're like, oh, he's going to suck. And now he's just kind of being very solid. So I like LaMelo Ball. I think he's going to be a lot better than his brother in the NBA.
Ooh, I was just about to say, who's the better Ball brother?
Oh, without a doubt.
I like Lonzo.
You guys are all wrong, dude. It's Angelo, bro.
I can't even make a practice squad.
He averages like 9 steals a game.
Yeah, in where?
A year in China.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just to switch it up, I think that's my guy.
Yeah, I know. So just for reference, the Kia rookie ladder has number 1, LaMelo, number 2, James Wiseman, number 3, Tyrese Halliburton. So I don't think there's any surprises with what we've said so far.
Alan Horton Tucker's not number 1?
What website?
He's not a rookie, bro.
Oh, he's not? I thought he was.
He's not a rookie. He's a second-year guy. He got drafted in the second round last year, but now he's getting high. Bro, you're a Laker fan.
No.
You have to know that.
Hold on a second. But he didn't play last year, did he?
No.
Yeah.
THT, man. THT. He is not a rookie.
Let's hear Justin's, dude.
2019 draft, second round, 46th pick.
But isn't rookie based on like if you played a certain amount of games your first season?
Did he even play one game?
Yeah, so he's technically still a rookie. Like he qualifies for like rookie of the year. If he's not going to win it.
Did he play a game?
I don't know. Let me.
I think the rule is if you played even one game last year, he's not qualified.
I don't think he is.
He didn't.
So then, no, he did. He played 6
did?
games.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, right. He did.
Yeah, he's not qualified as a rookie. The reason that Ben Simmons and Blake Griffin won the year after they were drafted is
they didn't play a game at all. Yeah,
season injuries. Yeah. Justin, who you got?
Real quick. Basically, the only reason LaMelo's number 1 on Kia is because NBA.com's looking for hits. That's the only reason. Just saying. Not to say he's not good. Because, I was arguing, and I think he's the only one that can give Tyrese a run for the money of Rookie of the Year, because I'm not too high on this draft class, and I think the Kings hit a gem with Tyrese. But I watched some LaMelo, and he's silky smooth. He's confident. Wiseman's big and beastly, and he's going to be good as time comes up. But without a question, and I'm not even being biased because I've watched, Tyrese is just amazing right now. And you guys talked about how his playmaking is not the best, and I disagree. His playmaking is amazing. He has this I don't even know another player that does it like him, but he will get a pick, and when the big rolls to the basket, he will make the motion of an alley-oop but change it to a layup, but will take the alley-oop if it's there, and he does whatever the defense gives him. And for him to be able to do that first 10 games in the season is just, to me, leadership, vision. His three balls dropping like a beast, and his shot is kind of not Reggie Miller dirty, but it's weird. But it's
Is it like Sean Marion dirty, bro?
Sean Marion was like,
no, it's better. It's smooth.
yeah.
It's not traditional, but it has a smooth motion to it. But what I'm saying is, I think we liked him as a prospect, but the fact he's shooting like this from downtown makes him head and shoulders right now, and it'll be a nice between him and Melo, I think. But Tyrese for me is rookie to watch right now. He's amazing. His defense. What was it last game? I think he was playing D and got a pick, and he knew that the player wasn't about to drive and pass it back for a three, and he ended up swatting it from behind. And just to have that knowledge, that confidence, that smooth like motion to play like this, it's exciting to be a Kings fan finally. So I like Tyrese.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's one other guy that I want to mention, guys, and that is Tyrese Maxey in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to him at all. I tried to go swoop him the other day when we increased the roster spots. Got busy with work, didn't get a chance to pick him up.
Who picked him up?
I don't know who did, but
It wasn't me. I would say,
guys, the last 4 games, he's had a lot more opportunity because Philly has been dealing with some quarantine issues. He started 3 of those games, but the last 4 games, he scored 16, 39, 15, and 16. And he started off really slow, but this was a guy who a lot of people said could be one of the best point guards from this draft. Somehow he fell to Philly, I think, at 21. Just not a lot of need for point guards in the middle of that draft. Watch out for him. This kid can play. He's kind of a shooting guard, point guard, kind of in the mold of Tyrese Halliburton in a way. And Justin, I want to also clarify what I said earlier was not that I don't want Tyrese to be my lead playmaker. That was the knock on him coming out of college, was that he's not ready for that kind of a role. So, all right, guys. Well, let's move on. Your early picks for the top 8 seeds out of each conference. Who's in the picture? Who's not?
Hey, Jacob, is there a way that you could pull up the Eastern and the Western Conference standings right now?
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can.
While we get that organized, I'll tell you some teams that I'm very happy to see that are doing well, and I hope it sticks. And that as you pull it up right there, I guess I'll start and say I think the Celtics are going to stay number 1, even though the Nets got that trade. The Celtics, have you guys been watching them? It's Tatum and Jalen are really clicking. They took that step forward and are monstering together as a pair.
They're good. They're good for sure.
Yeah. As far as going,
I don't know if they're KD, Kyrie, and Harden good,
but you're countering that competition with ego versus no ego. Where's the cohesiveness?
No, I'm countering that competition with the only competition they're gonna get in the East, man. Like that's it. It's the Celtics and the Nets.
You haven't liked the Bucks since they got in Drew Holiday.
I love Bucks, man. I love Giannis. I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't know if they have the pieces up there in Milwaukee yet. Drew Holiday was a nice addition. Chris Middleton's always been solid, but it's a Celtics Nets final for sure.
That's what you think, Philly.
That's what I think.
You know what? Philly's going to make a move. I believe that's going to be pretty surprising. Either they're going to sell out or they're going to shore up, and I think they're more leaning towards shoring up than selling out. You know who the GM for Philly is right now?
Surprise me. Or tell me.
Jacob, you know?
The GM for Philly? No, Vlade Divac. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. If he got another GM, we'd have some problems. But,
the guy who passed on Luka Doncic.
No. Daryl Morey's living it up over there, man. And the Kings have Monty McNair, who's ex-Rockets under Morey, assistant GM. And I think something between them is going to come up. So I have a feeling they're going to shore up, get stronger, but I think they're going to stay, obviously, at top competition in the East, but not quite at the Celtics level. But should we wait for Joseph to go through this, or how do you want to go?
Well, for me, I'll just say real quick. In the Western Conference, I think this is all going to –
Of course, you go straight to the Western Conference.
I think the Spurs are going to fall out, and the Nuggets are going to take that spot, and it's going to stay the same. Not the order, but I think all these teams other than the Spurs are going to make it, and the Nuggets are going to be in for me. And then, man.
Do you think that, Jacob, do you think the Kings make the playoffs? They're currently the 10th seed.
No. I mean, based on what I just said, no.
Joe, you don't think your Kings are making the playoffs?
I mean, listen, this year is
Come
the
on,
craziest
Joe.
year ever because you don't know with COVID and everything going on.
That's true.
You don't know when a guy's going to go and actually get COVID and they got to go out and sit out for 14 days. And it could be multiple players and teams could lose 5 games in a row and that could shift everything. But I don't trust the Kings. I'm not putting money on them. Although I think that this year they have a chance.
The West is just too good, bro. The Lakers, the Jazz, the Clippers, the Suns, the Blazers, the Mavericks, the Warriors, the Spurs. I mean, the Nuggets are the 11th seed right now. And I think we can all agree that they are not going to finish as the 11th seed. They're going to make the playoffs. So,
but I mean, look, I think the Kings are better than the Spurs and the Thunder.
And the Thunder, right? So there's your 8th seed right there.
Well, no, because the Nuggets take the 8th seed. So I think we're 9 right now. And you also got the Pelicans, who I think could be decent. And while the Rockets are probably worse long-term trading Harden for Depot, I expect them to be better right now because Harden hasn't been trying. So we'll see. I mean, honestly, we'll see. You know, it's things are going to start to shake out, I think, over the next 2 weeks.
Hey, can we do our first bucket down to the first round Hoops podcast? Because I'm telling you right now, Kings are making the playoffs, baby.
Don't make me do that, man.
As long as somebody keeps track, but I mean, to be
I'll
honest,
make that bet, so I'm wrong.
Yeah, honestly,
I mean, it's not fantasy related, but
come on, boys. Let's do it.
I'll take that bet. Sadly, the Kings are not making the playoffs.
All right, man. I'm good for it. I think the Kings can definitely slide in 7-8 seed.
And that's one I'll be glad to lose.
Listen, I pray that you're right, Gabe. I pray that Steph Curry has a wonderful baby and decides that because of COVID, he wants to take the rest of the season off and wait for Clay, and that Chris Paul decides that he'd rather go live in Italy. And I hope all these things happen and that the Kings slip in. But right now I have us 9-10 on the outside looking in. And we'll see, dude. If we fire Luke Walton, we could.
Oh, my goodness.
He's trash. He's holding us back. He's not helping us.
We live in Sacramento. I live in Sacramento. I want the professional sports team here to do well because it would just make things exciting. But for COVID, the reasons I would want the Kings to do well is because the whole town would be all excited. Downtown would be like super exciting to be down there, but it's not going to be like that this year, even if they are good. So, and I think they're on the up and up. I think hopefully they're like getting to be a playoff team, but even still, the Western Conference is still tough, even though it's not as tough as it was like 3 ago. It's still pretty tough. But as far as the Eastern Conference goes, I think the Hornets and the Hawks are going to fall out, and we're going to see the Raptors and the what's it called? The Raptors and the Heat.
Wait! You said the Hawks are falling out of the playoffs? I will put that down right now that the Hawks make the playoffs. That is a sure thing in my eyes.
Hold on. Did we agree on the bucket down for the Kings?
I hate to do it, but I guess, yeah. I mean,
look, bucket downs are for things that like you feel strongly about. I'm not taking the Hawks one.
Bro, it's cool. This is a thing for Kings fans over here, bro.
Jacob, I don't disagree with you that the Heat are going to make the playoffs, but I don't think that the Hawks are going to fall out. I actually think it's the Magic. If you look,
I was gonna go Charlotte and Orlando.
No, listen. The
You don't
Raptors
think
are not
Charlotte's
making the
gonna?
playoffs.
You don't think Hornets are gonna fall out?
No, the Hornets are a much better team than the Raptors this year. The Raptors have been living off of a great coach, and Kyle Lowry still being excellent, and Pascal Siakam, and Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka, and they are not that same team anymore. Kyle Lowry is probably going to get traded, if I had to guess, in the next month. He's not going to be in a Raptors uniform for much longer. He's still a great player. He's going to go help someone win. The Raptors are going into a semi-rebuild around Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby. That's what I would think, because I've watched them play, and aside from the game where they smacked the Kings and put up, 56% from three on like 50 shots, and they just couldn't miss. They've been garbage. That is not a recipe for success what they have over there. But I agree, the Heat will make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
What's
that's
up with Jimmy Butler right now? Is he not playing?
He missed some games with injuries. I think he's back now. But
Because I just know that Tyler Herro went off for like 39 points the other day.
The Heat are just so well coached. Like it's
the best.
Yeah.
The East is. I just wish the Kings played in the Eastern Conference.
No, Butler missed last game against the Sixers, which was yesterday, and he's out. It says day-to-day to health and safety protocol, so it's probably something COVID-related, I would guess. I haven't kept a close eye on him, but I'm sure he'll be back, dude, and that team is good. I know they've missed Bam as well, so once they get – then Jacob, Charlotte is a good team. They're going to make the playoffs, man.
I hope so, man.
Devontae Graham, they got Gordon Hayward, and I said this in our last podcast episode that he's not Utah Gordon Hayward, but he's going to do more on a team where he has more opportunity, unlike what he was doing in Boston. And they've got some other good young guys, and honestly, LaMelo Ball has been better than I expected. So, yeah.
I mean, he's contributing. He's probably the best overall contributor. I mean, he is scoring more points, rebounds, and assists than Halliburton right now. So he's better statistically.
Well,
and his team has a
That's not everything, though.
I'm always
well. I'm just saying, he's
for
the better player overall because the team has a better record and
Listen,
better statistically.
I'm going to say LaMelo Ball, and obviously there's no book it down for this because I think this is something we're going to see over the next 10 years. I'm going to say
I'm
LaMelo
like 10
Ball.
years from now, bro.
I'm going to say LaMelo Ball is going to have a career very similar to Russell Westbrook, where he's putting up triple doubles, but he's not necessarily helping his team win.
Who is LaMelo Ball?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said Halliburton.
No.
Oh.
LaMelo's going to be a triple double guy, and he's not going to help his team win as much. And I'm not saying that he can't at all. I'm just, Russ, for his first 10 years, was awesome. He was helping his team win. But then towards the end of his career, when things start to slow down a little bit, he becomes kind of toxic. And I think Halliburton is going to have a career where his impact on the court far outweighs the stats that he puts up just because he does so much that doesn't show up.
Who wins Rookie of the Year, fellas?
LaMelo.
Halliburton.
I go Wiseman.
It's LaMelo. Listen,
Well, I was gonna say I'm always rooting for Jordan's team to do well, like it, because he's the owner. He's the greatest player of all time, and his team has been terrible. So I want him to succeed.
Yeah.
Oh, and I know that you guys were talking about the Heat as well. There's another hot take for you. I don't know, man. I think the Heat were great last year. I mean, obviously, I don't know, man. They're going to be better than 4 and 5, obviously. But if there was a team that I had to make a bold take about, it's that the Heat could be on the outside looking in as far as a playoff contender this season.
I'm going to agree that they're going to take a step back, Gabe, but the East sucks, dude. And
that's why I'm looking at it, and it's just
I don't see enough teams. Listen, Orlando, they're without Fultz, just went out for the year. Isaac's out for the year. That team is not going to – they had a blow-up by Vucevic to start the season. That's not going to stay consistent. You've got – the problem with the East is you've got probably 6 good teams, I would say. You've got this – or 6 or 7. You've got the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Pacers. You've got the Nets. I think the Hawks are in that conversation, and then you've got the Heat. After that, it's trash.
I think you could argue that of the good teams, there are only like 3 great teams, and I think that's the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Nets, but I don't know, man. The Nets could be a dumpster fire. Obviously, they're making the playoffs. They're probably making it to the finals, but
Yeah.
as far as great teams are concerned, I mean, I
Well,
don't.
the difference with the West is that even those teams like the Pelicans and the Spurs and the Kings,
God, they're so
they're
good.
not awful. They're not great, but they're not awful. It's so different than the bottom of the East where you have so many teams like the Pistons
Well,
and the
teams with
Wizards
losing records make the playoffs, like
in the
Let me-
East.
sometimes in the
Let me
East.
tell
Yeah.
you how it's going to pan out. The only sure things in the East right now are Celtics, Sixers, Bucks, and Nets. All the other teams are predicated how they put it together, upcoming trades, and health. Because of the remaining teams, the Hawks are the next best, but
No,
they
Pacers and
no, the Pacers got worse without Oladipo. I do like them. Sabonis, Turner, they're nice, but I'm not afraid of them if I'm the other teams. They're not going on a 7 to 9 game winning
They also
streak.
got Brogdon too. That he's really underrated, but he's not.
But he's not a
He's a good point
yeah,
guard.
you're not
Right.
worrying about it. He's nice to have, but is he above average? Slightly. So I'm telling you this, there's going to be major trades, I think, this year because people see what just happened with Harden, and now all the pieces can follow place since that blockbuster was done. So I'm not saying I would be surprised if Cleveland gets in the playoffs because Drummond's on expiring, like I said. A lot of teams who want to sell need that big money expiring so they can have leverage in the future. So if they get a nice piece back, I think they have a good enough chance as anybody else. And the Knicks are playing decent too. So the East, like you said, is trash, but it's hard to say right now. But I do like Cleveland now more.
Cleveland is good, but I think if they trade Drummond, that's a signal that they're going to tank rather than if they keep him and try to re-sign him, then I think they have a better chance at the playoffs. Okay, guys. I just want to wrap it up with one last thing. We mostly just talked normal basketball stuff today. The Harden trade, the rookies, the top 8 seeds. I want to talk about something a little bit more fantasy related, and we'll make it pretty quick. Is there anybody on your fantasy teams or anybody, just in general, who's surprised you? And I think I'll take this one. I mentioned it. I'll give you guys some time to think. For me, and it's not as much of a surprise, I knew he was going to be good, not this good. Julius Randle has come out and opened the season on fire. I saw some statistics, and I know it's a very small sample size, but like in the first 10 games, he's averaged he's averaged 7 assists, 11 rebounds, 22 points. And he's one of only like 4 players of all time to ever do that for 10 games. And again, I know it's a small sample size, but he's passing the ball. He's making threes. He's scoring points. He's getting rebounds. He's literally doing everything that you want out of a fantasy player for a total points league. And I was very surprised the other day, and it's probably changed by now, but 2-3 days ago I went and looked, and he was the number 2 overall scorer in fantasy, way behind Jokic, but ahead of everybody else.
That's in our league, right?
Yeah, that's in our league.
Yeah.
And Jokic is like the CMC, where
Dude,
he's like 100 points on anybody.
I almost took Jokic over LeBron, but I had to go LeBron.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, my thought was that big men are good no matter what. Like, you can get Julius Randle in the 5th or 6th. Why would you take Jokic in the first one? You could grab Giannis or LeBron. But, man, Jokic is head and shoulders above everybody.
I mean, Jokic should have been drafted above LeBron. Like, if I wasn't a Lakers fan, I wouldn't have taken LeBron at the 4th overall, even though he's been pretty solid.
Yeah. Anybody that stuck out to you guys?
Mine is for fantasy purposes. Mine is the other Kings player on the court, and it's not De'Aaron Fox. It's Harrison Barnes. He's averaging 25 fantasy points per game, and he's averaging in real life. I think he's over his last 5 games. He's averaging damn near 20 points a game, a couple of rebounds, a couple of assists. He's pretty much doing it all, and he's not turning the ball over a lot. And it's kind of weird, man. Like, I've always been a big fan of Harrison Barnes, obviously, because he was on the Warriors first, and he was kind of that predecessor before, he departed and got that max contract in Dallas, and it didn't work out as a superstar. But he's come over here, to Sacramento. He tried to, I can't say that I didn't necessarily like the fit in the beginning because, I mean, they paid him lesser money than Dallas, but they wanted him to be what they wanted him to be in Dallas. And it's like Harrison Barnes is not that kind of player. He's not your superstar. He's not who you're going to build your team around, but he's a very solid role player. And I think now that the Kings are learning how to use him like that, he's perfect, man. He's getting his looks. He's got a high field goal percentage. His layups, they never look sexy, bro. It's all about contact with him. It's all about using his body and getting to the rim. And I love that type of basketball play. And whenever he gets a three-pointer up, it's looking good, even if it doesn't go in. So for fantasy, he's been one of my most consistent players other than Jokic.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good point. And, it's funny, me, Justin, my brother, my uncle, my other brother, Josh, we all watched the first Kings game together while they were in town for the holidays. And I kept saying, and listen, Harrison Barnes, I follow him on social media. He's a fantastic guy. He's a great human being, but he's getting paid more than I think he's worth. And I think for me,
didn't you defend that contract when they first?
I did. I did.
Yeah.
And I think that he's proven this year, if he plays like that, he's worth it, right? But the last year and a half that he's been with Sacramento, he has not been worth his contract. And listen, maybe part of me is upset because the Kings had the Litty Titty committee and we were balling out. And Iman Shumpert was a big part of that. And we go and trade Iman Shumpert midway through that 2018-2019 season when the Kings started to come on, and we picked up Harrison Barnes, and it fell apart. And listen, that's not Harrison Barnes' fault. The team just kind of hit a stagnant point where we weren't gelling as much. And so part of me was kind of anti-Barnes from that point. But listen, this year, Gabe is right. I've watched every Kings game. He has been the best he's ever been. Better than Dallas, better than Golden State. He's playing his best basketball of his career, and it's exciting to watch a Kings fan.
I always thought he had the potential not to be like a superstar like Kevin Durant, but to be a solid player, like a very good player.
He's the best glue guy you could ever ask for.
And you know what he has that a lot of players don't? Championship ring. And he actually contributed to that first championship. He had a huge role.
100%. I mean, that season earned him the contract.
It was great, yeah.
Big time. I mean, listen, my biggest gripe with him has always been, and I love Harrison. Like I said, I have nothing against him.
Well, yeah, I mean, when your team pays him that much, it hurts the whole rest of the team.
But my biggest gripe with him has always been he'll come out, he'll ball out, he'll score 30, he'll get you 10 rebounds, he'll make some good passes, he plays good defense, and the next game he shows up and he scores 6 points. And you're wondering where the hell he's at, and he doesn't show up on the court, and he doesn't hit threes, and it's like, dude, how can he be so inconsistent when last night you were our best player on the court, and tonight I don't even see you? That's been my thing, is consistency is key with him, and now this year he's proving that he's, I think, maybe finally fitting in, like Gabe said. So I'm excited for it, and yeah. How about you, Jacob?
Well, as far as our league and my team, my biggest surprise, and I drafted him because he was the best player on the board at the time, but Jaylen Brown, look, he's missed the last 2 games, and he's still ranked 18th overall in our league. And if you guys have noticed, our league, every day the rankings fluctuate a lot. Like LeBron will go from number 4 to number 10, like in one day.
Yeah.
And so the way it is, so it's easy to fall out of the top 20. He's ranked number 18 right now, and he's missed the last 2 games. Dude, this man has been killing it. He's arguably been my best player on my team all year so far. And the way our scoring is, he's been putting up 43, 34, 17, 33, 33, 55, 26, 22, 25. So this guy, that's been my biggest surprise so far.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd call it a surprise because I think we all anticipated and we talked about it in the preseason that Gordon Hayward leaving was going to open up more opportunity for Brown and Tatum. Still a surprise because Brown has been better than Tatum in fantasy. So that, I think, is the surprise. I know we all expected a jump from him.
And I must have got him somewhere like 5th or 6th round.
No. It was earlier. It was.
Are you sure?
I'm positive that you took him in the 3rd round because I almost took him, but I instantly.
I mean, we can find out.
Yeah.
I want to check. I thought it was later, but still, either way, even if it is 3rd round, that's still.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, I was going to take him, but I decided to take Chris Middleton because I wanted to have Middleton and Giannis together. Or, excuse me, you're right. It was the 5th round. My bad.
Was it? That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought it was the 5th or 6th round.
I thought I took Middleton in the third round.
You know why? Actually, because I took what's it called? I took my 2 centers with my second and third pick. I took DeAndre Ayton and then Vucevic with my second and third pick.
Yeah, I thought I took Chris Middleton with my third round pick. I'm looking back. I went Giannis, Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Christian Wood.
So, dude, hell of a steal with Jalen Brown. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is funny that I traded my 5th and 6th round picks in Steven Adams and Chris Middleton for.
And I don't know if honorable mention is Zach LaVine. I don't know if this guy's going to keep this up, but he's been killing it.
Well, you know what? A guy that I traded to DeMont. I traded DeMont. I needed a small forward, a guy that could slot in as small forward. And I'll be honest, I kind of hate how ESPN does these positions because some of them are garbage. Shea did play some small forward, though, to be fair, last year with Dennis and Chris Paul. That said, I traded DeMont, Steven Adams for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. And it was a 1-for-1. And at the time, Steven Adams had way more points than Shea. And Shea's last 4 games have been 32 points, 49, 46, 28. And he's about midway through the third quarter tonight. He has 12. So I love that kid. I was so happy. I offered DeMont like 4 trades, Steven Adams for like 4 different small forwards because he had a lot and he needed some guys. And he accepted that one. And
dude, the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander thing is it's the first controversy of our league. He was dropped.
Who was dropped?
He was dropped
by Johnny.
And then DeMont picks him up. If I was commissioner, I would not let that happen.
I mean, how can you stop that? Listen, Jacob.
But no. I know what you're going to say. The small roster sizes, no, that's not.
No,
that doesn't apply to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Listen, man, I'll be honest. We have a very small roster size, okay? And you knew I was going to say that. Shea was not killing it to start the year.
But you would have never dropped him. No,
I wouldn't have.
Logical fantasy player would have dropped him.
I wouldn't have. Not this early in the season. But to be fair, he had games where he put up 17, 12, 14.
Gabe, I'll be the Stephen A. Smith of our podcast.
Listen. The problem is in this league, and not as much now that we've opened up the roster spots.
But
early at the
man.
But early at the beginning of the season, Jacob, guys like Harrison Barnes were on the waiver wire. That's just a fact. Gabe picked him up off the waiver.
Yeah, but this guy should never have been on the waiver wire. But I understand what you're saying. Like in our league, there's guys because I listen to some fantasy basketball podcasts, and they're like, if this guy's on the waiver wire, you better go grab him. And like every time, these guys are always on the waiver wire because our rosters were so small.
Yeah,
but I get it. But though a guy like that who's ranked so highly going into the year, like you wait longer and see how it pans out. You know?
Yeah, I agree. But
still, I mean, it's not your fault that you got it.
I thought it was the controversy of my trade.
No. I mean, it's a long trail of controversy. Like he never should have been dropped, so then therefore never should have been traded to you. But it's not your fault.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. Listen, DeMont needed a center. I needed a small forward. Steven Adams is putting up 30 a night.
Basically, what it sounds like to me is that somehow Gabe got Harrison Barnes. You guys must suck at fantasy basketball if he wasn't on your roster. Good job, Gabe.
Listen, dude, before we expanded the rosters, you don't understand how hard it was. I had maybe one droppable guy. I'm sitting there looking at my roster like, okay, and I'll be honest, I'm a Kings homer. So I've got Marvin Bagley, who's probably droppable. But although he's not putting up bad stats, but I'm looking at my team like, dude, I can't drop Brogdon. I can't drop Christian Wood. I can't drop Steven Adams. Who the hell do I drop? We only had 13 roster spots. I'm looking at a team of you're not dropping fucking Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook. You know.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, our commissioner is very progressive. He extended the roster spots to 2, so props.
Two additional ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By 2, yeah.
Yeah. So now we have 14 spots. Excuse me. Before it was 12 because it's 8 guys starting and 4 on the bench.
Yeah. So yeah, we only have 4 bench spots. Yeah.
Joe, take us out.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, guys. It was a good one. The Harden crazy ass trade. Let's jump back on next week, man, and give you guys an update. I'm excited. I want to see what happens. I'll be tuning into their games for sure. We'll watch the Kings game here in about 20 minutes. But it was a good episode. thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. Buy the merch. We'll have some basketball merch, it sounds like, coming out within the next couple of weeks, right, guys?
Of course.
So keep an eye out for that. It's going to have our logo that you can see right up there. So keep an eye out for that. And thanks you all for watching, and have a good night.
How's